A couple of videos ago, I told you how I got my six-figure per year, my $120,000 per year job. And if you haven't watched that video, here's a little how it looks in the thumbnail. I'm going to link the description down below. So that's how I got the job. I'm here to tell you that I left that job about 4 or 5 years ago, and in this video I'm going to tell you why. And you might disagree with me, you might call me crazy, but hey, that was my decision. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Hailey Bina, and every single week I make new videos to give you tips and strategies that elevate your marketing game. And in this video, I'm going to share with you why I left my six-figure per year job and how that led me in this crazy world of marketing and becoming a marketing expert. Okay, so if you haven't watched that video that I told you how I got the job, then go and watch that video because this one will make much sense. But if you watch that video, then you know that I was really happy when I got that job. I was working for one of the agencies within the UN, within the United Nations, and I was based in Mozambique. I'm going to be putting some pictures here as well so you can start seeing the amazing countries where I worked, that I had the most pleasure to work and to be part of the team there. So I worked for the UN for about 5 years. So my whole idea was, when I first got the job, I always had this in mind. When I finished university, I finished my bachelor's degree, and I thought, okay, let me go for have a minimum of 3 years experience or a maximum of 5 before I go and decide which master's I was going to make, right? So when I first got the internship, was based in Mozambique. I was really sad to leave Kenya. I had made friends and I called Kenya and Nairobi my home. And, you know, I was really sad to go to Mozambique. My friends at the time, they were like, Sally, but you're going to have a job. I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to leave you guys. But yeah, so I went to Mozambique. And my whole idea in the back of my mind, I always said, okay, I'm going to work for the UN. I'm having this dream job, but I know that if I want to keep ranking higher and have better positions, I need to get my master's. But at that time, I didn't even know what kind of master's I wanted to get. I didn't have the money to even go get a master's. So I just thought, okay, minimum of 3, because it looks good when you have a 3-year experience in your CV, and then you have a master's, and a maximum of 5, because I didn't want myself to get comfortable and just kind of work without having a master's. So yeah, so basically I work my first internship was in Mozambique. I spent 2 weeks in Maputo, which is a beautiful city. I'm going to put some pictures here of Maputo. And then I was primarily based in Beira the first time around. So, and I was responsible for all that provincial side of Beira and also the provinces around. So Chimoio and also, Chimoio, Beira, and also Tete. I was responsible for all those provinces. And I was basically the focal point for a program that was called Nutrition Rehabilitation Program. I'm a nutritionist and I work within the nutrition context in the sector. I spent about a year in Beira, and then I did my internship, and then after the internship they offered me a job and I stayed on that job. And then after like a couple months, I got offered a position in Lesotho. I'm gonna put some pictures here in Lesotho. Lesotho is an amazing country. It's beautiful. It's like a landlocked country. So landlocked is a country inside of a country. So Lesotho is inside of South Africa. It's like surrounded by South Africa. So I spent around a year in Lesotho. Let me tell you, compared with Mozambique, I did not love Lesotho. There's parts of Lesotho that I liked, right? For most part, I didn't see the progress that we were making with the program that I was working on. And also the environment within my office was a little weird because, I was in my nutrition department, there was 3 of us, and one of them, she was like the senior there, and she was a little bit threatened by me, but the fact that I was there, and she would sabotage the work, and I didn't feel, and I'm not a confrontational person, so she didn't make my life easy, let's just say. At the same time, I didn't really love the country, being based in Mozambique, and I think everything kind of played into it because the work environment was not good and everything was not good. So, and also I didn't believe 100% in the project that I was working on, and I'm telling you this because it kind of builds the story of why I left at the same time, right? Because one of the things, and if you watch the first video, one of the things that made me go and dream about working for the UN was because I wanted to make a difference, and I want to make sure that I work within the organization that definitely was making a difference in the world. And the main word in my mind was always prevention, was always like sustainability, right? So let's make something that is sustainable. That's why within the world of nutrition, I always, once I started to understand, a little more of the different projects that were around, I focused a lot on prevention. Because if you're able to prevent something, it doesn't become a problem later on, in life, right? Whereas, for example, when I was in Beira, I was focusing on nutrition rehabilitation programs. So I was working with the programs that, help children who are already malnourished. Then as time went on, I started to focus more in being part of programs that were about preventing. So we're talking about things that, preventing from either when the mother is not even pregnant yet. So how we can make sure that the mother's well nourished so that her pregnancy is well, she's well taken care of during the pregnancy, and the child is not born with low birth weight and things like that. So I love that part of that aspect. And Lesotho was more about was never that, that type of program. Um, was more high level, more policy, and I didn't really enjoy it. So then I stayed in Lesotho for 1 year because like I think 5 months down the job, I realized that I didn't love it. So and I was ready to leave, but I said, it looks bad if I just stay for 5 months. Let me just continue at the end of my contract. So then luckily, I then got back to work, got a contract back to work in Mozambique with now a project that was prevention. So I work with chronic malnutrition, so the prevention of chronic malnutrition, and just talking about it makes me so happy because I really 100% and 1,000% believed in the project. I was working with one of my good friends as well as the manager of that program. His name is Filippo. He's amazing. I was working in a country that I loved, and also I was based in Maputo, but then I was based, because the whole project was based in Pemba. I'm going to put some pictures here of Pemba, me in Pemba, me talking to the ladies as well. And I used to live right in front of the beach, by the way. I mean, from my room, if I left my door open, even if it was closed, I could hear the waves. So it was an amazing time. But also I really believed and I really loved the project. So so I stayed in Mozambique for about a year and a half or so. But then, there was problems with the projects, the donor and everything. And then eventually they decided to cancel it and it didn't go on. Eventually then I moved to Congo, where, so after that project was done in Maputo, in Mozambique, I moved to DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. I'm going to put some pictures here. Congo is one of those countries that, it just amazes me, right? Oh, and just before that, so even before I moved to DRC, I kind of forgot, because my program was based in Mozambique, was one of the countries, but then was part of a bigger project as well that involved other countries. So within that, I traveled as well to Niger, to Chad, to Ethiopia. So I'm going to put some pictures here because I really enjoyed, like, Niger, for example, amazing country. The fact that it's like West African, really. It really reminded me as well of the Guinea-Bissauian culture, because my dad is from Guinea-Bissau. And also Chad was also just really amazing, really cool country. And also Ethiopia, just because I was, the connection flights was always from Ethiopia. So I loved just being in Ethiopia and just kind of, it was just a cool country all around. Okay, so from then I went to Congo. Then the project was canceled and I got another contract in Congo. Like I was saying, Congo is one of those countries that just made me happy. It's a big country, and as you know by the history, Congo has gone through a lot of lows and highs, and it's in the constant. There's still in the east part of the in the east part of the country. There's still a war going on. It's in very in specific areas of that eastern part of the country. So it was very split. It's like a country. It's like two countries within one. And my project specifically was also to do with nutrition, but in the east part. And yes, it was a lot of was really interesting. It was in South Kivu, so it was in Goma, South Kivu, the area. I'm gonna put some pictures here as well of South Kivu, and it's just a beautiful country, beautiful people, amazing food, and I just felt like this connection. It was very colorful culture as well. So I stayed in Congo for about a year and 4 or 5 months, and then I was already completing the 5 years. So then I said, okay, it's time now, and I have to go do my master's. At that time, I had already gathered the money. I decided I knew exactly which degree I wanted to do. So, and which university I wanted to attend. So I decided to go to London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. So that's the name of the school. So I went to that school, and it was a little, I'm going to say there's a term for this, but I forget. It was like a little bit of a culture shock as well, because I was now living in Europe after 5 years of living in African countries. So I had to adapt in a lot of things, because there's some things that I was used to being a little easier and others to be a little harder. And now things were much easier to do and other things were a lot harder. So it was just interesting to adapt to that. But yeah, going to London, that's where things started to open up. Because, when you are inside of something, it's hard for you to see the bigger picture, right? And although I was working in the terrain, with the locals and everything, I could see that at least, I knew that the projects, most of them were not perfect, but I could feel that, okay, at least we're making a change, we're making a difference. It wasn't until I moved to London and I was now in a completely different context. And I was, I could see my course director, I could see the staff in my institute, in the school, and I could see the whole world of development and how much of it it's said to help, but we're not really doing that much to help. Africa and all the other developing continents and countries as well, we're putting projects together that are not sustainable. And I started to see that when I was in university, when I was doing my master's, and I was like, this is just, and you might think that, Sally, but that maybe that was obvious when you were there. Yes, but when you're with the people, you feel like, okay, I know that this is not amazing, but at least it's helping. But then when I was doing my master's, I started to realize, like, I have to think about 20, 30, 50 years, 100 years down the line. And there's no sustainability to this. And meanwhile, we have directors of organizations, we have directors of courses, and they earn thousands of dollars, right, to do the job that they're doing. And if you think about it, really, the university that I was going to, their all ethos is to help, developing, in public health development, right? So they focus a lot in public health, and specifically in developing countries. And if you look at the staff, right? So you think, okay, you help developing countries, and we all know that education is at the very high up in terms of how developed the country will be. And if I looked at the staff, and the staff were all white, Western, mostly male, a couple of females as well there. But out of the professors, there's only one that was African. And to me, that didn't really make sense. And the way that also Africa was portrayed in the lessons, and there were some lessons that I definitely cringed, because there was things that were said. And you can see that these people that are giving this lesson, sometimes they've been to Africa, maybe, they've been going to Africa for like 10 years, but like 2 weeks at a time. And they don't understand local context. They want to import something that works here in the West and like kind of just dump it in Africa. And not only that, but make it in a way that is not even sustainable. And that just, so they can write studies about it and get rewards about it and get Nobel Prizes about it, whatever it is. So I started to have this really, was really weird for me now, because I could see myself that, okay, I'm working for a whole industry that says one thing and does another. And by the way, in that time, I started reading a lot of books on the topic. So, for example, there's one that I highly recommend called Band-Aid by Dambisa Moyo. That book really kind of put things into a lot of perspective. There's other books, but if you're interested, just read that one. That's really good. And that's why I started to question. I started questioning my main values and principles and how that aligned with the work that I was doing. At that time, I was like 28-ish, 28, 29. And I had the decision to make. I said, by the time I finished, but the time I was not even finished. I didn't even get to do the last test, the last exam, but I was already questioning the world that I was working in, and whether or not it aligned with my core values and principles that I had, started with. It was a lot of battle. Like, I had to talk to, it was a lot of me thinking and doing my research and asking myself. And at that time, I was 28, 29 years old. I think I was more 28. And I thought, you know what? Is 50-year-old Sally going to be proud of herself if she continues to do the work in the industry that she doesn't believe in anymore? And the question was no. And I think the umbrella of this video is to, if you find yourself in a position where you're earning a lot of money, it's good, but then you don't align with what you're doing, you're not happy, it's just not worth it. Because in my mind, I played so many scenarios. I was like, because by the way, I left for a year. I had to go back to like work. So I didn't save enough money to like, to it's not like I said, okay, let me save money to go to do my own thing. I saved money for go to university and then go back, right? So I didn't save money to like sustain myself. I didn't know what I was going to do if I didn't go back to work. So in my mind, I even played some scenarios. I said, okay, let me go back for 6 months so I can save some money. But then even that, I felt disgusting about. Because I'm like, Sally, now you're going back knowing, one thing is when you're doing something you don't know, it's not, you haven't even crossed your mind. But now you're going back knowing that this doesn't align with you and you're still going to get that money. And to me, that was yuck money. And so I had the tough decision to make. And I said, I look back and I said, hey, I'm in a position of privilege. One, because I have an European passport. I'm Portuguese, so I can go back to my country. Two, thanks to my mom. My mom was an amazing person. She really taught me the in how to not just blow your money and invest it. So I had a house. I had two houses in Portugal actually. That I could just live and I didn't have to pay rent. And three, I had just a little bit of money saved up as well that I did when I was going to university to do my master's. So I said, Sally, you're in a position of privilege. There's a lot of people that could not ever even think about making that decision. So for you just to go back for 6 months so you can get even more money, so you can go buy more, even Starbucks is not even like, get over yourself. So yeah, I made the decision to leave the job and not leave. I just didn't go back. My contract was ended. I went to do the university, so then I had to actually apply to go back to my normal job. But I decided not to. And I had a couple, people send me an emails and asking, "Hey, Sal, do you want to join this program? Do you want to do this?" Because at that time, I made sure that I was well connected within my sector, but I said no because I knew those programs. And what I decided to do was, okay, let me go do my own thing. Let me start my own business. I didn't want to work for anyone. I said, okay, let me go to Portugal. I don't want to work for anyone in Portugal because that's what the minimum salary in Portugal is really crazy. But I wanted to start my own business so I could have the money and either support or start projects that I know that are sustainable. That's what I wanted to do. And I'm still in that process. I'm still not 100% there, but I'm going there. And it makes my heart so filled and happy because I know that I'm making the right choice, that, the right choice that makes me happy, that I know that it goes with my values and also principles. Because I would hate to be working for something that I know that is not bringing people the thing that they think, that they need. We're giving them what they want because they're hungry, right? They're hungry. So we're giving them food, but we're not teaching them how to fish. We're giving them the fish already cooked and seasoned and everything. We're not teaching them how to fish. We're not even giving them the cane for them to figure it out. We're just kind of straight up just giving them the fish and not even telling them where they can get the fish. So if by the time we leave, they will be like hopeless, right? So yeah, so that's why I left my my 6 figure per year job. It was a hard decision, but was one that I don't at all regret making. Because now I'm in the country that I'm in Portugal. I love Portugal. I love my culture here in Portugal. I'm close to my mom and my dad. I have an amazing partner. I'm close to my friends as well. And most important of all, I'm happy and I'm doing something that I absolutely believe in and helping other businesses as well, whilst as well building my own and now putting the money together that I can help other projects. And that's the other thing. I didn't want to start another NGO. I want to go, and I already found some projects that they're doing the right thing, that they're actually working in developing and in a way that is sustainable for those countries and those communities. So yeah, that basically summarizes everything. So basically my message to you is, if you're now in a position where you feel that it's not fulfilling you and it's not aligned with your goals and principles and your values, the money is not just because you get a good paycheck, a fat paycheck, that's not what's going to make you happy. And right now I'm not yet at that point where I was when I was working, but I'm way happier. Okay, that's it what I have for today. I hope to see you on the next video. Big kiss. Ciao.